Hi, I'm Bowen Yang, and welcome to Search Party, the podcast, brought to you by iHeartRadio and HBO Max. Think of this as an audio companion to the dark comedy series you can't help but binge watch. The theme of today's podcast is love, passion, and sex. You know, relationships can be complicated, and when there's a murder involved, well, they can get really complicated. But luckily, we have two fantastic guests today to help us work through Search Party's relationship issues. Jeffrey Self, who plays Elliot's boyfriend Mark, as well as celebrity fan of the show, Busy Phillips. So let's get into it, shall we? Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Okay, so the theme today is love, passion, and sex. Normally, well, it's a threefer. But normally we do like a single theme, and then I ask the guests how the theme relates to their week or their day. It's tough to not be invasive with the questioning here, to be like, who have you had sex with this week? But I think I want to ask, what is a concept that you are passionate about this week? I think I can start. I can start. I'll answer first. I'm like 2 years late on this trend, but I'm into celery juicing because I drink it first thing in the morning. I take a huge dump, then I feel like I can run a marathon. So I love
medical
celery
medium.
Juicing. Medical medium. I feel sexual towards celery juice.
What is the I mean, I know that's like, obviously it sounds healthy, but like what is the reason? It's like, what does it do?
Busy probably knows. I don't know.
Alkalining your blood. We got to alkaline our blood, guys. We gotta just clean it all out. Like Bowen says, you just like immediately shit. And there's something to it. It's that you're supposed to do it like on an empty stomach.
Right.
I do. Now here's what I do. I do a bulletproof coffee. I wake up really early because I have two kids and that's what they do. So I have to do that too. And so I'll have my bulletproof coffee in the morning. Then I work out. Then my stomach is basically empty. And then I juice. Then I do my celery juice.
Well, I'm passionate and sexual and I love celery juice. Okay, well, Busy, how about you? What are you passionate about this week?
I guess I'm passionate about figuring shit out this week.
Yeah.
I am like in it. At the end of this week, I will have had almost 5 separate hours of therapy with different therapists for different people, with different people. Like, just, we're getting it all figured out. I am going to doctors because I've been having weird acid reflux throat things that I think it's just all I think it's all tied together, all of it, the body mind thing. I've been making some appointments with some like integrative medicine doctors. I talked to my friend, and you can do anything over Zoom now, which is amazing. So it's amazing. So my friend Michelle lives in New York and she's like, oh, I have this like acupuncturist herbalist guy who's incredible, change your life. Previously, that wouldn't be a possibility.
No. But
now he'll see you because they see everyone over Zoom.
Okay, so Busy, you're passionate about diagnostics. I love that.
Passionate.
That's great. Okay, great. Jeffrey, what about you?
You know, I was just thinking about it, and the main thing of my past week that I've been really into is corn on the cob. I've never been that into corn on the cob, but we bought all this corn on the cob like a couple weeks ago, like 2 weeks ago, because we had a couple people over
that's
for like
fine.
a background social distance thing, and we ended up not cooking it, and then my husband left, and I've just been like trying to cook everything that's in the refrigerator, and we have all this fucking corn on the cob. I love it so much. I've never been someone who cooks corn on the cob, but I'm so into it. I look forward to it every night.
Wow. Fantastic. Let's talk about love, passion, sex. I feel like these are 3 things, and I maybe I would even single sex out as this recurring thing that undermines trust or solidarity between all the characters on the show.
Yes.
Perhaps. And Jeffrey, with your character, Mark, it seems that he is slighted multiple times.
Right.
And the trust in the relationship is betrayed multiple times, which is perhaps best illustrated in this scene that takes place right after Elliot has a very harrowing experience in court. Let's go ahead and roll that clip.
Elliot! Elliot! I thought about it, and we're getting married, and it is all for the best.
We don't have to get married. You don't have to go through this with me.
No, baby, sweetie, I've thought about it. And the guests have booked their travel, the sponsors are in place, and the best part, babe, the best part is that now I actually know you. I mean, I know who I'm marrying. Who else gets to say that?
Okay, well, if you're excited, I'm excited.
I know I'm marrying!
Oh, it's so sad.
So sad.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Jeffrey, what do you have to say? Because it feels like these two characters are propping up each other's hysteria. Mm-hmm. And then you have Mark trying to support and console Elliot, but he has this sort of manic thing about him too. It's like, how can that be a supportive thing to this person who's clearly dark?
Not a dark person. I mean, I feel like Mark is like such a victim, but it's like someone who really likes being a victim. Like, I think he's like sort of masochistic in that way. And I think that's like I think he's just as disgusting as Elliot, because he like is willing to put up with this so that he can like have something to complain about. I feel like, so that he can feel damaged and feel,
oh God, don't you guys
broken.
all have friends like that who like you're like, guys, it's been 15 years you've been talking to me about this exact same thing.
100%.
You know?
Yeah, it's one of those like those kind of people who are like, oh, I can just never date. And it's like, there's tons of people who want to date you, for fuck's sake. And I feel like he's someone who wants to just like have a boyfriend that's like, oh, he just isn't fully there for me. And it's like, you could just go fuck somebody else, dude.
Interesting.
But it works both ways with what Busy's saying, where it's like people who are like, I just can't date. But then that also applies for people who are like, I'm really unhappy in this relationship that I've been in for a long time. Yeah,
totally. Because I think when you're unhappy if you have something to be unhappy about that's like specific, that you can put all your unhappiness in that basket, then it's like all the other baskets that of unhappiness around you can ignore. You know what I mean?
Right. And oftentimes those things, those people who are in unhappy relationships or whatever complain about it. They do use it. That's their like escape, is to complain about the thing. But the truth is they maybe aren't really even that unhappy. I'm not saying this is the case in Mark and Elliot's relationship, but I just mean like in general.
Yeah.
But there's something in that scene that I love. And I want to ask, Bowen, are you married? I don't know.
I'm not very single.
But
and a veil.
Take a veil.
I'll think about it. I'll think who I know. No, I'm kidding. Fucking hate that. But Jeffrey, how long have you been married?
Almost 2 years. Over 2 years. Almost 3 years.
Okay, almost 3 years, and I have been married 4,000.
Congrats!
No, thanks. I got married. We're at 13 years married.
Ooh.
So, but here's my question, because I think it's really interesting. Now I get to say I know the person I married, and who gets to say that. And so my question to you, Jeffrey, is, do you feel like you knew your husband before you got married? Or do you feel like every day, every month, every year you're learning something new?
It's a great question. I think my husband and I have both really evolved a lot since we first started dating. He had never done therapy or any sort of stuff like that before. And I kind of grew up in therapy and on antidepressants and all that kind of stuff. So I think he entered a journey of like looking at a lot of his shit once we got married. And so that he's like grown a lot in that way. And I had sort of stopped doing therapy and stuff for quite a few years and was kind of in a rut about all that stuff when we got together. And I feel like once our relationship was in a really secure place, we both felt safe and comfortable enough to actually start exploring that stuff again, for me again, and for him the first time. And so I feel like I have gotten to know him more in that, because he's sort of gotten to know himself more and I've sort of gotten to know myself more in that time. But I guess that's the case. Yeah. What do you feel like, you guys, with your marriage, like over the years, was there like a moment where it was like, okay, now I fully know this fucking person?
I feel like neither one of us really knew the other one when we got married, in a weird way, even though we'd been...
You were really young?
I am 8 years younger than Mark.
Okay.
And I was 27 when we got married, and we've been together for 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting because I think that people, I think marriage should be like obsolete at this point anyway. Like, I'm like, if it were me today, I wouldn't get married. I would just be like, yeah, let's get this house and we can have kids if we want, whatever.
Right.
However, that was not what I felt at the time. And I think I knew what his values were, but I would say that like I don't feel like I really knew him, and I don't think he really knew me in like a fundamental. I know that sounds crazy, but like in a fundamental way, that we've learned since.
Had you been in a super serious relationship before that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like one of those, like I was like a serial monogamist. I only had serious long-term relationships.
Sure.
What about you, Bon? Have you had are you long term or are you short term?
I've only ever sort of had these short little bursts of whatever, and nothing terribly long term. But we've talked about this in other episodes about like avoidance as attachment, about how like, you know, and it's this phenomenon that happens with Drew's character where his character is kind of sexualized, fetishized by these women who want to fuck him because he's on trial for murder. And then with Dory, it's like she's being preyed upon. But I was going to say that, is there even something relatable to either of you that Mark is kind of okay with these foundational aspects of getting to know his partner, not even sort of being real or being completely debased, but like having this turning point where he's like, I'll still marry you because now I finally know who you are. But even though who I've known you to be all this time has been a lie. Is there something like that we relate to in that?
I think there's something I sort of relate to. I mean, I definitely have had my other longest term relationship before I got married was really like deeply unhealthy and not happy and nice. I feel like in that I was sort of just like willing to like not know the person because I was sort of after a fantasy of what I thought the person in my relationship was. I think that there's something to the like Mark and Elliot dynamic of that, of like, this guy has just decided he wants to like, this is where his life is going to go next and relationship wise. And no matter what is standing in that way, he's going to keep going on that journey.
Mark, that's Mark's impetus, you think?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Because with both of them, they seem to enjoy the idea of marriage as
a performative,
totally, as concept.
That's also like, I relate to that. I think that that's the thing that like we get fed by the, you know, heteronormative patriarchy, right? Like, and so no one, I mean, for the most part, I mean, depending on how you were raised, most people are not immune to like falling into that trap to think that marriage, a wedding and marriage is going to like offer you stability. And especially if you're a person who like comes from trauma or has trauma or whatever, and you're like, even like, I am never surprised when people who were like child actors or whatever get married very young, because like that was also sort of where I was coming from at age, you know, when I was like, because I was like, I've done it all. Like, what's next? Oh, I guess I got married now, you know? And like that, I do know, I've been in a lot of therapy too. And so I do know that was one part of it at the time, which was just like, I wanted to get out of Arizona. I wanted to like become an actor on TV. I did it. I wanted to be in movies. I'm in movies. I wanted to do this. I did it. Okay. So now what do we do? Oh, I guess I get married and have kids, you know? And it was almost just like, nothing was going to stop that trajectory.
Yeah.
Dang.
I know that's deep, guys, but
that's deep. No, but I think there is something there where it's like I think, you know, that's a very specific experience, obviously, but I think there's something where like people come up with these ideas of like these tent poles of life, and it's like you have, no matter what, even if you're not quite even feeling it, it's like you have to meet those and hit those, and I think that's sort of what's going on there, and at least in this.
Or if you're a person like these guys who haven't really done the work on figuring out how to make themselves happy. He's just like, it's literally grasping at straws, like 100%. What's gonna work, you know? This like all of these external things might be the thing that works.
Yeah.
Sure. Sure. Because the way that this is all satirized on the show is that with the Sam Pancake and Drew Droege scenes where they're planning the wedding, it's like, oh, your wedding will have sponsors and it's good to have these people there. It's like they sort of, as a couple, are okay with this because it still has this external gilded shell of it being a wedding still.
Yeah.
But this is an interesting thing that Busy brings up, because I did want to ask, like, at what point is Mark going through with the wedding in terms of Elliot's dysfunction, in terms of sympathizing with what Elliot's going through and kind of being like, oh, I should be there for my partner, or if he's acknowledging any sort of dysfunction in himself to be like, I'm fucked up and I don't know if I have any other recourse in life, and this is something that I want, and I'm just going to go through with this even though I don't really know who I'm marrying.
Right. I feel like for him, it's like, for like the Mark character, I think it's like more, I don't think it's the self-awareness of like, well, I'm fucked up and everybody's fucked up, so I might as well go along with this. I think it's more of a place of like a self-worth and like feeling like this is the best he can get. And
Oof.
I think it's a bit ickier with that. And I, obviously I think with Elliot, I think it's more about the need for validation and attention and a misguided, pursuit of that, which is, I think, what all of his choices are. For my character, I think, I think it's more of a place of like self-worth and just like, that's not, I don't deserve anything better. Sadly, I think is what he's going through.
Aww. Wow.
Sad. Like, but I think it's also like, I think there's something to them that's like, so, I mean, obviously that's what Charles and SV are writing about, I'm assuming, is like specifically with gay men and the idea of like, I mean, it's not just gay men, but there is certainly a thing there of like the performative aspect of a relationship. And like, I know like my first relationship was like terrible, but like the Instagram posts, God, they looked good, and it's like
beautiful.
They're,
beautiful
it's that,
posts.
I think.
Yeah.
And I think there's something to them, for sure, of like the optics of like, oh, we're two pretty blonde boys. Oh, isn't this pretty and nice and aesthetically pleasing and all that bullshit that is giving them something that is they're willing to like look away from all the shit that's actually happening to be like, oh, look, we're happy, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
But Mark at least has some moral clarity.
Compass. Yeah.
Sure, because I mean, after Elliot gets revealed to be Eldad, and the parents are these like non-union actors. Yeah. The woman who plays the mom, quote unquote, is like, I really, she puts the gum in her mouth.
Like,
she's
I liked you. Yeah,
I liked you.
She's so brilliant, that actress.
Brilliant. And then and then Mark is just like, I can't do this right now. It's like,
yeah. Like they were really intimately close, Yeah, he does have some kind of moral compass, but it feels like it's something that like a moral compass that he in no way trusts, that he feels but doesn't actually like listen to his gut in that way.
Sure. After this quick break, we'll continue discussing the themes of love, passion, and sex in the context of Search Party with Jeffrey Self and Busy Phillips. You won't want to miss this. We have two clips today. Our next clip is between Dory and Drew, and I think let's just get into the Dory and Drew of it all, because there's plenty of love, sex, passion that kind of taints a lot of the behavior. So let's watch this.
So, where should I sleep tonight? I could go sleep at Gail's, but I think it looks better for us if I live here.
Yeah. I don't know, Dory. I'm sorry, I'm just having a hard time trusting you right now.
Drew, I'm going to save us. And I think I need you.
Yeah, I think I need you too.
Great. So let's talk about just the general concept of Dory and Drew performing their passion, their love for each other publicly, and in this case privately, because that there is some like scenery chewing aspect to that that little exchange where Dory is just like, it's soapy. It's like, I need you, you need me. And like, you know, they're sort of bound together through the season, in the trial. Do we think it's all real at that point? Like, what is that sort of blurry line between an authentic, quote unquote, and performed love? Yeah.
I feel like with that, I mean, I feel like it's like, it has been really performative, and now like they're with that high of the stakes, how high the stakes are of what they're dealing with now. Like, you're kind of forced to like stop performing and actually step up and be as close as you've been performing and pretending to be, kind of, I think, with them.
Yeah, but I also think that it's almost, I mean, it's not really passion. I mean, there's no you know, it's like a need. They have a need that maybe isn't tied into necessarily like any sort of true romantic passion.
Sure, because I think in the first episode of the first season, in the pilot, you have them sort of having some mechanical sex with each other.
Correct.
It's wrote in like, that's our way in, and that's like the sort of beginning of their passion journey. And then,
but has Dory ever had like good sex? I can't think of.
I feel like her sex with the detective, right?
No, you're remembering it. You're misremembering, I think.
Yeah, probably.
I think it's like, or it was hot sex, and then she like had the moment of realization that it was like all too real. Like it was like gross and dirty, and like his apartment was like shitty, and he's like a single dad who's like, ugh. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, again, very relatable moment for every person.
oh, sure.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When you're like,
The fantasy is,
the fantasy's dead.
The lights come on in the dark
So maybe
room.
you're right. Maybe the sex was hot for a second.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
My dog heard us talking about hot sex.
Oh, my dog won't have that
about.
reaction anymore. Poor baby.
Passion's
but you know what I mean? Like, I feel like she...
Has she ever had like genuine... That's a good question. Has she ever had genuinely fulfilling sex?
If my memory serves me correctly, I feel like with Keith, with Julian, I believe.
Oh, right.
But I think there are moments where she would have passionate, good sex with Drew after the murder, where this sort of traumatic thing sort of binds them together, brings them closer.
I see that.
Re-sparks the passion there, which, I mean, is dark. Is that thing where, like, you know, like hostage victims fall in love with each other, maybe. It's like,
Oh, trauma bonding, guys. Trauma bonding.
Trauma bonding.
Totally.
So you're suggesting...
Trauma bonding is very real.
You're suggesting killing somebody in order to have better sex? Is that...
Yes.
Okay,
Listen,
cool. I'm down.
I'm going to bring it to couples therapy tomorrow. I'll let you guys know what my therapist thinks.
I volunteer as tribute. I do it to me.
No, please. Don't even joke about such things.
So let's talk about the April character in terms of Drew. Drew finds this other outlet for sex, let's say, but then April sort of ends up being this menacing force that sort of kind of threatens the gang. I don't know. Like, this is kind of the broader theme that I think is woven throughout the show, is that sex just gets all of the characters into these terrible, dangerous, into trouble. Yeah. Is that a fair, but like that seems like such an unfair application of like the destructive properties of sex. And I feel like sex shouldn't always be this thing that's like life ruining.
Right.
I don't know.
I mean,
Jeffrey and I both were like, I mean,
yeah.
but isn't it kind of? It's like it complicates everything. It's like all of the world's issues are complicated by it.
Right.
And because it's like so intrinsically tied to power, especially in our culture, that it all becomes like a play for something, you know, or it has the ability to. It's just very rare where I feel like people are honest about. I know it's been taboo forever, and so I feel like it's very rare where people are like honest about it. And actually, I would say that I've always felt, although I think that it has shifted, but I have always felt that like my friends in the LGBTQIA plus community have had a much healthier way in communication within their own relationships on what it is that they need and want, because they're like, again, I'm like a slightly older generation or whatever, but like my friends they couldn't look to like the heteronormative relationships and make that work. So that they were always just like, well, what works for us? We're just going to make up what works. We're going to define it ourselves, and we're going to like go with what works for us. And we're not going to try to fit into this thing that doesn't want us anyway. And we don't want it. Right.
Right.
And then I think there's been a shift, obviously, in the last decade, which I've seen with some of my friends. But I do feel like it gets real fucked up because of the ideas of like, I guess biblically, I don't know, marriage and monogamy.
I mean, like, I was always like afraid of the idea of marriage until like I started dating Augie, and it was like on our honeymoon, like we picked up boys at bars, and it's like that's just a very different thing than what I thought marriage was going to be. And it's, that was sort of why I was afraid of it, because I thought like, oh, that these rules and all this kind of shit. But I think, I think as a generalization, like you said, the LGBTQIA plus community.
Well, nothing holds true for anyone, but like,
no,
I
of
do
course.
just that,
but I think that, of course. But I do think that like there is inherently something freer sexually there.
Sure.
And a healthier, I don't know, just like less shame, I guess.
Well, because is it so like maybe it was like born from so much shame,
Right.
feel for a lot, for a lot of friends like trying to navigate what that is, and you're like, well, so I'm just going to make my own. I don't know.
Yeah, and we also have I have lots of queer friends who are married or in relationships who are very, very, very like heteronormative and monogamous and all that in that way. And it really works for them. But like, I
was just going to say, but I think that there's just validity to everyone in the world opening up to an idea that what works for me might not work for you.
Yeah.
And I think that judgment is just so fucking ingrained in everyone that's where all the issues with sex happen, because everybody,
Sure.
outside of horrible things that can happen with sex, like I think people feel sort of oppressed and repressed in terms of even voicing it a lot of times because of the fear of judgment.
Well, there are notions around sex that put up parameters around trust and around monopolizing trust. Like if you're sleeping with me, then you can't sleep with anybody else, or let's just say like that's like some sort of configuration of that. And I think like you can sort of throw intimacy in there as this catch-all term for love, passion, sex, where it's this thing that like communication is intimacy. It's what it's like what Busy was saying. It's like, oh, as long as you're communicating these things, that builds this trust, that builds this love, that builds this comfort around this. And so I think that's like, maybe that's the dynamic that Charles and Sarah Violet are constantly playing with on the show, is that you have these characters who become vulnerable through sex, and they end up, murdering or confessing to crime. Like Portia confesses to Elijah, J. Duplass's character, about what the friends have done. So maybe that's it. It's like there's sort of this thing where sex is at odds with trust, and I think the antidote to all of this is not all of it, but is to sort of kind of have those two be concentric circles, and then that way trust is built into that relationship. Yeah.
It's also like radical honesty is the key, right, to everything on Search Party, but also in our own lives.
Yeah.
Like if we can take as close to a vow of radical honesty with ourselves, with our partners, with our children, within reason.
Search Party, I feel like none of the storylines would exist if these people would just committed to radical honesty.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Right. It would be interesting actually if like one character would.
Yeah. I've also I'd love to see a show where everybody was committed to honesty. Like,
it's really
it would
hard.
Be interesting. It'd be hard to like, what is the story there? But it would be really interesting to see.
No, but it's still, even when you're honest, you still, I mean, that's because like
there's still conflict.
Oh
yeah.
wow,
Oh, yeah, totally.
I've tried really hard in the last few years to be very committed to like radical honesty, and I have to say it's like not without drama and conflict, because if you really like dig deep and you're like, okay, well, this is my impulse. I'm being radically honest. This is my impulse, and then you're like, but wait, where is that coming from? Okay, so like I need to figure that out.
Yeah.
Is it coming from this place or is it coming from that place? And then like, oh, it's coming from this like very true, real core thing. But was that rooted in trauma? Like it is, you can get fucking deep. You know what I mean? And then sometimes you're just like, I want a turkey sandwich. That's my radical honesty for the day.
Yes. Wait, okay. One of the last few things I want to ask, do we think there's a single character on the show who loves someone other than themselves, if we're even operating under the assumption that any of these characters love themselves? I feel like this is a show that is about solipsism, about sort of selfishness, about kind of not looking out for each other, even though you are bound by trauma, bound by history and your past friendships.
I feel like Drew is, as far as like the main four, I feel like Drew is probably the most empathetic and loving of them. I mean, he's not without his own shit, but like, I feel like he's actually like loves Dory. Yeah.
Right.
I think he actually loves Dory, and like once he's like in his soul, like a good person, I think.
That's good.
I actually kind of agree.
Yeah. I also think just Louis Anderson always loves himself underneath it all. He's so good.
Bob Lunch does love himself and everybody else.
Sam Pancake.
And Drew Droege love themselves.
Those two actually, I do think really, those characters I think do genuinely love themselves, and I think have like a happy life. Like I think
I do too.
Those two people genuinely enjoy life. Like they're fully ridiculous, and I don't want to go to their house because it smells like a vanilla Yankee candle or something. But like I do think they genuinely are like genuinely happy.
Yeah, I agree. On that note, this is the last thing I'll ask. I know you two are already married. If you were to renew your vows, who would you want to have sponsor that ceremony? And I can answer this for myself for my wedding.
Yeah, sure.
Would love a diptyque sponsorship.
Oh, we love a diptyque.
And then Lowe's would be great.
What are they? But what are they sponsoring? What are they doing?
I think like
they're just giving money.
Money, party favors, whether it's like gift certificates or like everyone gets like one sconce, at the wedding or something.
I get the diptyque. Everybody gets a diptyque candle.
Yeah, diptyque, I'm with you. And then you lost me at the hardware.
I just want to sort of run the gamut of brands. I don't want it to be just lifestyle stuff. I want it to be, or luxury. I want it to be like things that have practical value, things that have atmospheric value. I just want this to be like a thing where there's something for everybody. In the literal sense.
So as far as like a party favor, like a Raquel Welch wig, like something from her line, everybody gets a nice wig, like a nice lace front would be nice. I mean, the obvious would be a good, just like a really, really good. I think I actually answered this question maybe about the wedding because I was saying something about wine, but just like a bank, just money. American Express Black Card. That's who I want to sponsor. The wedding.
So I would. This is like just going to be a real fantasy moment for me. I would want to be sponsored by the Four Seasons Travel and have them. Do you guys know that Four Seasons also has like private planes that they will like, and they do these like wild. Well, let me tell you something. You stay at enough Four Seasons in your life, maybe you'll start getting the emails for their private plane experiences. So I'm sponsored by Four Seasons Travel, and I'm getting them to like pay for all my entire everyone.
Your whole crew.
Yeah.
Everyone is going to like Turks and Caicos somewhere. And then, I mean, is there 4 seasons there? Probably, whatever. And then Casa Dragones is going to be my alcohol sponsor.
Okay.
And so that we have like our tequila drinks and it'll all be flown in. And then I feel like an Elliot here and I'm going to like need to do a charity component.
Oh, yeah.
So then I'm going to like do some sort of thing for Jose Andres and World Central Kitchen to give back.
Great.
But 4 Seasons Travel, hit us up.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, I will tattoo that on my butt.
Oh, yeah. That's like within reason. Okay, great. Well, Busy, you're in season 4. This is very exciting. Talk about your experience, your character, whatever you can say without spoiling too much, I suppose, in case people haven't seen. What can you say?
I mean, it's insane. I mean, it's truly, I really think people will enjoy the episode. You know, I've been such a huge fan of the show since day one. And I always said to them, like, if there's like 2 lines, I will fly to New York for it. Yeah. And Charles like emailed me, we have this thing. I think it's really fucking funny for you. Will you read it and see if you want to come out and do it? And I have to say, it wasn't even, I was like, I don't need to read it. I'm in. Like, I don't even care. I told you, like, I feel like they started the show like 7 years ago. I don't know if that's true, right?
Yeah, they did, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we had brunch at Little Dom's on Hillhurst like 7 years ago. And I said to you, whatever, anytime, I'm in. But I do work with Meredith a lot, which was super fun for me. And because I've known Alia forever. I don't want to tell anyone anything other than I think you'll really enjoy it. I had a lot of fun. Being on the set was amazing. SV and Charles were fantastic to work with. And I just watched a little bit of ADR where you do like the looping guys, like if your audio is weird or something.
Right. That's right.
And it was really funny. So I'm excited.
That's very exciting. I'm excited for not having seen it. So I can't wait.
Do you know what it is?
I don't. And I don't want to know.
I don't want to tell you. I don't want to tell you.
Okay, great.
It's really good.
Okay, cool.
But I didn't read, like, because it's always a tricky thing, I think, as an actor when you're a fan of a thing. But I only read the stuff I was in, and I kind of didn't ask any other questions because I want to like enjoy the show still, and I don't. And my part is sort of like you can just kind of like it pops in and out like so easily. I don't need to know anything else.
That's
it's even like kind of better that I don't.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, like as a fan, I was just like, I want to just make sure that I'm going to still be able to enjoy it. Nothing will be ruined.
Wow. Okay. This is very good. Well, I don't want to take up any more of your time. So thank you so much to my guest, Jeffrey Self, Busy Phillips, for joining me in this discussion on love, passion, and sex. I hope these sponsorship deals come through.
For all of us.
For all of us.
Okay, yay. I'm excited. And Jeffrey,
yay.
This was lovely.
So good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I hope you feel the love that I have for our 2 guests today, Jeffrey Self and Busy Phillips. Thank you both so much for coming by. Until next time, I'm Bowen Yang. Join me next week for 2 new episodes in which we deep dive into the many themes of Search Party with even more special guests. Search Party, the podcast, is a production of HBO Max and iHeartRadio. It's executive produced by Ethan Fixell, produced and written by Jonah Bayer, written and researched by Marissa Brown, and engineered, edited, and mixed by Matt Stillo. If you haven't already subscribed, rated, or reviewed Search Party, the podcast, please do so on the iHeartRadio app, HBO Max, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you might get your podcasts. And don't forget to watch Season 4 of Search Party, premiering January 14th only on HBO Max.